Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Are you ready? I hope you're ready because I'm so excited to be here and doing this training with you right now. Now, I know that you're not watching this while I'm recording this, and that's totally fine. I'm still really excited to be here with you right now. The topic of this training is words are magic. Now, why is that the topic, and why am I starting it with so much enthusiasm? Well, that's because words are magic. So if I say I'm excited, it's more likely that I will feel excited. And if I ask if you're excited, it is more likely that you're going to find excitement, pull it up, and be excited to be here. This is the magic that we are going to work on today in this training so that you can understand that, embrace it, and put it into all of the areas of your life, because it's not just one place, it is everywhere. Now, let me start by saying, I have occasionally come across comments from people where they say, my enthusiasm doesn't feel authentic. The way I am always positive feels out of their reach and out of possibility for them. And I want to be very clear. Yes, I can be over the top, and that doesn't have to be you. But the positivity and the perspective with which I walk in my life is intentional, and I work very hard to have it. This is not accidental. I didn't just happen to start singing to start this webinar. Well, it sort of did, but that's because I practice that behavior. I practice being joyful. I practice using words that bring more magic into my life. I practice finding the positive perspective. This training is one step in how you can cultivate and bring that into your life. It's not some magic that I have that you can't. We all can have this because it's simply a perspective that I choose to intentionally use more often than not. Also, let's be clear. There are moments where I can't find this, where I can't find the positivity because I'm human. Now, I probably don't make webinars on those days if I can help it, but I do sometimes have to do a training on those days or work with clients on those days, and I have to fake it till I make it, and that is part of it. But also because I'm human, I'm not always here, and therefore take some time to use the tools that I need to get back here. So that might be part of your journey too, figuring out what tools you need in order to use the tools we're going to talk about today. So what are we going to talk about today? Oh my gosh, there's so much goodness in here. The plan is to talk about and go through a few experiences where you will feel, in your own system, if you do them with me, because you got to play full out if you're here. Otherwise, it's just me entertaining you for a little while, which is great, but won't have the impact that I'm hoping this training will for you. If you do what I'm suggesting you do with me in real time right now, you will understand how words are magic. And then we're going to talk about how do you then use that? What are the tools to go put in place? I have a 5-step plan for you to go put in place in order to use language that's going to change your life. So in the event that we haven't met before, I thought I should start with introducing myself. I'm Dr. Marcie. I'm a behaviorist, and currently that means that I help people change behavior in the realm of mental health and parenting. So for over 25 years, I have been working with people to bring in more happiness and joy into their lives. And I have to admit, I feel so grateful that this has been my career for so long. It has taken different iterations and different forms, but it really has been an evolution to get to where I am today. So today, what I do is I work with families, providing parent training, because I think that leadership, and when I talk about the corporate work I do, that language will make sense too, that the leadership, the grownups, the adults in the room need to know what the tools are in order to get others to listen and follow and do what needs to be done, because they don't always necessarily know or can see the same big picture. So I do a lot of parent training, and I do in-home work. Like I show up for a couple days, help you change a bunch of stuff, and then I leave. And then I speak. I do keynote trainings, I do workshops, I do full day trainings, multiple day trainings for organizations that want to shift their culture, navigate de-escalation better, need more conflict resolution skills, or need mental health support, right? That conversation around how our feelings impact our work and bringing in more joy. More and more businesses are doing that, and I love that. How do we create the space so that we can actually do amazing work every single day? So that's the work that I do. I've written 2 books. One is Love Your Family Again. One is Love Your Classroom Again. Yes, you can guess. One is for parents, one is for teachers. And they are the top 25 questions that I am generally asked around how to change behavior of kids so that you could have the tools for that. I have a podcast that has several seasons out now around conversations with parents, the good, the bad, the challenging. And I am beginning to create a season around working with family leadership organizations. So it's Love Your Work Family Again and again and again and again around the good, the bad, and the challenging of work and how to navigate those pieces. What's really interesting about my work is that the tools that I use with families and the tools that I use with organizations and in corporate settings are the same. They sometimes have a different framework. They sometimes have a different, they certainly have a different set of examples each side. They sometimes have different nuances and feel, but the concept, the core is the same, which is why I'm so excited for this training, because it is the first time that I'm doing trainings for me. My goal is to do a monthly training for you so you can come back and get more, in which I build that bridge and give you tools that you need for your life. Because the way we navigate our families is not so different than we navigate work, right? Our problem-solving skills are our problem-solving skills. Our conflict resolution skills are our conflict resolution skills. Our anxiety levels are our anxiety levels. Our patience are our patience. Whether you're at home or at work, there might be nuance or textural differences, but there's not a huge, gigantic difference between the two. Your skill set is your skill set. And so today, my goal is to take all of the knowledge that I have used to gather for myself and help you put it in place in your home, at your job, and for your life. Because words being magic impacts each of them. You as an individual, you with whoever you consider your family to be, or you in whatever your work environment looks like. Our words impact it all. So let's dive into what this is really about. Let's have our very first experience already. So you see that it says, what does a cow eat, right? So let me set up the riddle properly. Now, again, you have to do this with me. I want you to say 5 times silk. Don't say 5 times silk. I did that the first time I heard this riddle, but you have to say silk, 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 silk. Okay, did you do it? Now, I know virtual trainings, you sometimes don't actually do the thing I'm asking you to do, so we're going to do it again. 5 times you have to say the word silk. Silk, 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 silk. Now answer the question. Oh, I guess I got to go that way. What does a cow eat? What'd you say? Because when I first did it, I very proudly paused and I went, milk. And I was so proud of myself because I assumed I beat the riddle. But cows don't eat milk. And I was like, oh, right, water. Like I was like, right, nope, they don't eat water either, because we don't eat water unless it's ice, in which case we shouldn't really be eating it. I hear it's bad for your teeth, but I don't really know. What do cows eat? They eat grass. This is a piece of information that you have known in your head forever. Grass, hay, something, right? But you just said a word 5 times. The major brain shift what it knew to be true. And it came up with an answer that isn't correct because it was distracted by the words you used. Now, it is possible that you actually got it right and that you said grass and you're sitting there thinking, being all proud of yourself. Cool. But know that even if in this instance, it worked for you, like your brain didn't get overridden by the language, know that for most people it does. And even if in this example, it didn't for you, there are many examples in your life where the language around you is impacting the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave. The words you use make a difference. So this training, the Words Are Magic training, actually got inspired. So I'm going to tell you this story, and maybe this will hit you in a different way. From a text exchange I had with a friend. It was a Tuesday night in January, and my friend lives up in Canada. And if you don't know, Canada in January is a very cold place. She texted me and she said, we're having some plumbing problems up here. I'm hoping everything gets fixed soon. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope your heat's not out. Because it's January in Canada, and I don't want her to be cold. And she said, no, just some like clogged drains. It's all getting worked out. It's going to be fine. The next morning, I woke up and my heat was out. It was gone. Now, I've lived in this apartment for over 2 years, and that had never happened to me. But my boiler was not working. Nothing I did was making a change. There was nothing that I could see happen. And I was convinced that because I had said, I hope your heat's not out, that I actually called that in. Now, I believe in manifestation. Maybe you don't. Maybe I manifested, right? I was like, I hope your heat's not out, and the universe heard that and was like, oh, Marcie's gonna get the heat out. Maybe. I was convinced that I manifested my heat being out. Now, maybe it was intuition. Maybe like I could tell something was going on. Maybe there were weird noises. I could tell something was wrong with my heat, and then that ended up happening. So maybe it was intuition. Regardless, I could have said something kinder to my friend, and the words that I used afterwards on myself impacted what happened next, right? So as in, when my friend said that she had some plumbing issues, I could have said, I hope you're safe and warm at home and that everything gets worked out soon. That probably would have felt better than me being like, hope your heat's not out. Let me name a different, bigger problem, right? Sometimes when someone names a problem, we name a bigger and a bigger and a bigger problem. That's not helpful. That doesn't help us feel good. I could have said something that would feel better, which is more what I'm trying to demonstrate. But there are all these different ways that we can frame it as well, and I want you to get the impact it has for you. Now, when I woke up and my heat was out, my hot water was also out, I could have freaked out. I could have said many, many words about how horrible, bad, tragic, unfortunate all of this is. I could have used words that brought me down and sad and frustrated and angry. And instead, I used words for myself that were problem solving. Who do I need to call? What do I need to do? Do I have to move anything for work? Where can I sleep tonight that's warm? I went into problem solving mode. I used words that actually helped me. So if you believe in manifestation and intuition, then this idea that words are magic is going to really resonate with you the way it resonates with me, because it allows you to see how your words get reflected back in the world. If you don't believe that, then notice that I could have said something kinder to my friend, and that the words I used help me accomplish my goal of getting my heat back on and being in a warm environment, because New York City in January is not so warm usually either, that it helped me stay calm, because I kept saying to myself, this is fixable. This is fixable. The plumber can come and fix this. There's no major problem. That's what I kept repeating to myself as I went through the problem solving steps. It will all be okay. This is not that big of a deal, right? Now, my heat being out wasn't that big of a deal. For other people in other circumstances, sometimes things are, but when we remember this, I can figure this out. Things can change. Our emotional state adjusts. Okay, so maybe one of those stories, whether it's the riddle, right? What do cows eat, gets you to recognize that words are really powerful. Or maybe it's my story of how I use words in the world and how that impacted the fallout. Maybe one of those will get your brain going, that like, oh yeah, words are magic. Oh yeah, we can use our language to problem solve. And these are both minor situations, small moments of how words can be really impactful. Now, the next piece that I want us to focus on is this image, which I love and can be used in so many ways. But the truth that we reflect with our words are multiple different perspectives, right? So I could have said, it's the worst thing in the world that my heat is out. I would have been catastrophizing a little bit, but I could have said that. I don't know what's wrong. This is going to last forever. I'm screwed. I could have said that. That's one option. That's one version of the truth. Or I could have said, this is not a big deal. This is fixable. I have the number for a plumber. They'll be able to come soon and fix it. I have places I can go if I need somewhere warm to sleep. I have places I can go if I need somewhere warm to work. All is well in my world. That is also true. Those two things can both be true, but the same situation when my heat was out, right? If you look at the shape in the middle that is truth, that they're saying this is the truth, the reflection, the perspective we take either has us seeing an orange square or a blue circle. They both exist from that same shape. With our language, whether it's our own perspective, our own mental health, our own desire to believe in our capacity, or it's our family, or it's a work dynamic, there is always a way to see multiple sides. There is always a way to find the silver lining, the goodness, or the hardship. Now, this, I just want to be very clear with you, is something I have taught from the beginning of my work in behavior. Like, so for over 25 years, I have been talking about how words are powerful. In the beginning, it was because I was literally teaching kids how to speak. I was teaching them to use their words and how their words impacted the world. So working with kids with special needs and teaching kids that they could say book and get the book, or cookie and get the cookie, change their world. And so now I want to do a more sophisticated version of that and teach you how to say anything's possible. I want to achieve this dream. I can do that. I want my kids to listen really well. I can get that. I want my clients to understand the impact of my word. You can do that. It's all possible. But sometimes we take the wrong perspective. We become defeated. We decide that the blue circle is true rather than the orange square, and we get scared and we stop. We don't want that to be your case. So let's try an experiment. Will you do an experiment with me? This is the last one that we will do together so that you can really feel the impact of the words. But this time, it's going to be more directly impactful. Your emotions are gonna feel it. So are you with me? Yes? Yes? Was that a yes? Okay, great. Again, I keep saying yes in the hopes that you are actually out loud going to say yes, and then actually out loud doing this experiment with me. Because the more you engage full out, the more impactful this will be. So here's the experiment. I'm going to show you, following this slide, 2 other slides. Each slide is going to have a phrase on it. We're going to say the phrase 10 times each. So we're going to do one slide, we're going to say it 10 times, we're going to shake it off. We're going to do the next slide, say it 10 times, and then we're going to discuss. Okay? So you may want to pause in between the 2 slides and reflect, how do I feel after? What was that like for me? After we do both of them, I'm going to talk through the general reactions that I get, because this is a piece that I do when I do live trainings and get real life responses where people can really see and experience what's going on. So 10 times. I have a big problem. 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 Oh no, I have a big problem. I have a big problem. How are you? How are you feeling? We have a big problem. Okay, now shake it off, right? If you need to pause and reset yourself, do that. But I'm just going to shake it out for a minute. And yes, this is an actual technique to get rid of stress in your body. We're just going to shake for a moment or 2. I recommend doing it for a whole minute if you feel really upset that you have a big problem, but just a moment. Okay, next slide. We're going to do it 10 times also. Ready? I have an interesting situation. I have an interesting situation. Interesting situation. I have an 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 interesting situation. Okay, now let's shake that off too. Let's just shake it off, 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 shake it off. You got it. Shake it off. Okay. Now let's check in. What did you learn from this experiment? What did that feel like for you? What did that change? Now, what I want to point out is that the same scenario could be used either language. My heat being out could be a big problem or an interesting situation. Could take either perspective. So when you said you had a big problem, how did that feel? I clearly, in all of my dramaticness, felt really overwhelmed. Like it makes me want to run away. Makes me want to crawl in bed and hide under the covers and not come out till tomorrow. Maybe come out for some ice cream and Netflix, but that's about it. Like I'm not engaging with a bit. Like it's just, there are too many big problems. I can't have another one. It's just, and generally that is the response that I hear, which may be something along those lines is how you felt. I have an interesting situation. I get curious. My mind starts problem solving. I start wondering like, what's going to happen next? Like where could we go from here? What am I going to do with this interesting situation? What's going to happen? Like I want to become a detective and solve it. Now, maybe that's my behaviorist mind, but I also, again, from doing trainings in real life with people, know that when I start talking about having an interesting situation, people like perk up. The energy comes up in the room. It's awesome. So maybe you felt some of that difference, or whatever it was that you felt, you could see that they were different. Same situation could be a big problem or an interesting situation. You get to choose the language you use to reflect that. So what did you learn from this experiment? I learned that it made my nose runny. That's new. What did you learn? Maybe you learned the impact of our language. Maybe you learned the connection between our words and our feelings. Maybe you learned how problem solving gets impacted by our words. When I say I have an interesting situation, my brain is like, what's happening? It wants to solve the mystery. When I have a big problem, it shuts down. That's how my brain works. Maybe you saw that connection. When I have a big problem, my anxiety went up. When I have an interesting situation, it came down. Maybe you felt some of that in your own mental well-being, depending on the words you used. So what did you learn? Just write something down so that you have that note to remind yourself of this in the future, because our words are really powerful. And if you can't start with changing words for yourself, change words for somebody else. So right after this, we're going to go into the plan. I'm going to give you the 5-step plan that I have for you on how to change your language, because words are magic. And before we do that, I'm going to tell you a story that happened last night. I was talking to a friend who is job hunting. She's very unhappy with her current job and she is looking for a new job. And she found one. And she's in the final stages of the interview, waiting to get the offer. She's really excited to switch jobs. And the new job is a little bit bigger than what she has done before. She'd be imagining more people, responsible for more elements. Like it's just a bigger role. And she is scared and was saying that she wasn't sure if she should take the job. She didn't know if she was qualified. Well, you and I know that sometimes when we're on the outside of that conversation, not in our own brains about it, it's very clear that people are qualified and it's just a growing edge. Like she's just on her growing edge. She wasn't jumping 5 steps ahead. She was jumping 1 step. Like it would be amazing for her. But I knew that just telling her, like, of course you can do it, was going to be enough. So what did I do? I started singing a song about how amazing she is, how capable she is, and how she knows how to learn. I gave her the problem-solving steps for what maybe she would do, of like taking a course or finding a mentor, or just knowing that just because she's only managed 10 people, the 20 might be the same skill set, just more. Like, and I made it into a song. And so she started laughing because that shifted her mood. But it wasn't something she could do for herself because she was in her feelings. So part of why we have to use our words as magic is to help those around us. first. Sometimes we learn this skill by helping those around us and then realizing that we can do it for ourselves. Okay, so here are the steps. They feel like something that you can't do for yourself. Think about who you can do them for in your life. Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's your children, maybe it's a colleague at work, maybe it's the people that you serve in your work, or maybe it is yourself because you have a dream that you want to bring together, that you want to bring to life, right? Once upon a time, I was like, I can't write a book. I actually had someone tell me I was going to write a book when I was in my early 20s, and I laughed at them. I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I had learning challenges as a kid. I like reversed words and had such a hard time reading and writing. I was in resource room. Like, it was challenging for me. Someone sat there and was like, I think you're going to write a book one day. And I was like, you are the funniest person I've ever met, because that's never going to happen. But I've now written two. So they're right there. They're right there. Yeah. Right? I've written two. Dreams come true. I mean, I had to realize that I wanted to write books, but I realized I had something I wanted to share, and that was bigger than my fear of not doing it. But my words became magic because I decided that my fear was smaller than my desire to share my thoughts and share the wisdom that I had spent years learning, that I wanted to make sure people could access it. What do you have in your life where fear is stopping you, or something else is stopping you that it doesn't need to? But you just have to change your language in order to find the motivation to bring that dream forward. Don't know. Okay, as you ponder that, let's talk about the plan for how to bring magic to your words. Are you ready? 5-step plan. Super awesome. I'm going to be so excited for this. And it's practical, right? Remember, at my core, I'm a behaviorist. So I want to give you steps that you can go take that are clear. Positive action-based steps is my go-to modality. That's how I think and operate. So that's what these are for you. Step 1, pay attention to your words. Sounds easy enough, but also can be amazingly overwhelming. Speaking is something that most of us do automatically. We have a thought, it comes out, right? You hear parents tell their kids often, think before you speak. If you're new in the corporate world, you're often told to think before you speak. But many of us don't. We're just like in the flow, and we have a thought and we say it and we keep going, and we trust that it's going to be okay. When you're trying to change your language, to bring in more intentionality, to bring in more magic to your world, well, then we have to pay attention. And if you paid attention all day, it would be exhausting, and you'd only do it for 2 days, and then you would hate me, and you'd be overwhelmed and exhausted, and you would quit. We don't want any of that. I want this to be easy and sustainable. So I want you to pay attention to your words for 10 minutes a day. That's it. Literally set a timer. Pick a time every day that you're going to do it. Maybe it's the first hour of your workday. Maybe it's while you're doing homework with your kids. Maybe it's at a mealtime that you usually have with other people. Maybe it's at a mealtime that you usually have by yourself, because you're going to pay attention to the words inside your own head. Where do you need to pay attention to your words the most? And do it just for 10 minutes a day there. That's it. 10 minutes feels overwhelming, take 5. That's fine. 5 minutes is enough. Now, here's what's really cool about this, and this is how behavior change works. If you take a small window consistently and pay attention to a behavior you want to change, it will slowly grow and integrate into other areas of your life. If you take 10 minutes a day to pay attention to your language, you will notice other places in your life where the techniques are working, where all of a sudden you are more, and these are the other steps. So like, you're more positive, you're more clear, you're feeling good about what you're saying, feeling good in your own body about what is happening around you, because you've changed your language. The 10 minutes a day will create that ripple. I've seen it again and again and again and again in all sorts of ways, and in my own life. Take the 10 minutes and see what happens. Okay, step 2. Use positive language. It is so easy to get overwhelmed, to get kerfuffled, to turn it upside down, to be negative. Like, we live in a very negative world. We live in a world where we constantly say no and don't and stop, where we're telling people what they did wrong and not what they did right. But there is always a reframe. There's always a reframe. And so you just have to find it. So let's think about these in the 3 different buckets that I've talked about, right? For yourself, for your family, and for work. When we are thinking about it for ourselves, many of us, myself included, at the end of the day, can go through a list of what are all the things I've done wrong. What are all the things I didn't get done today? I should have done better. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. We go through a list. All the things where we fell short from who we want to be. We're great at this. You could do that all day long. What if you started making a list of 3 things that went well? Or you've probably heard of like a gratitude journal where you write 3 things that you're grateful for, but 3 things that went well, 3 things you accomplished, 3 things that you did. Imagine what that would change. I actually, for several months, was doing a once a week journal of what I did the week before. Because I would forget my accomplishments. I would forget that I would have an amazing speaking engagement by the next week. I'm good at celebrating it in the moment, but then I forget and I feel like I haven't done enough in the world. And I just would decide I'm not doing enough rather than remembering all I did just a few days ago. So once a week, I would sit down and I'd write all my accomplishments. My goal was to get to 10. What did I do that? Some weeks I couldn't get to 10. I'd have to look at my calendar to remember. But after doing that for 4 or 5 months, I started to just remember what I was doing in the world that I was really grateful I was doing all the time. So for yourself, for your family, do you tell your kids all the time to stop doing things and not what to do? Put that down. Don't go near this. Stop pulling your brother's hair. Like, we just say no all the time to our kids. But what they really need is to learn how to do the thing. Oh, clearly you want to engage with your brother. Stop pulling his hair. Give him a toy. Share the blocks. Right? Can you change the no into a do? You shift that so that they learn what to do instead. It becomes like a replacement behavior. And in the work environment, all too often, we are highlighted for what we did wrong. We're in trouble when we miss the deadline. We get reprimanded when we disappoint a client. But there's not enough celebration of when we do well. When we meet the deadline, it's just like, well, that was expected. When we bring in an amazing client, well, yeah, thank you. Maybe we get that. But can we start noticing what those around us, and if you're in a leadership role, what your staff is doing? But if your staff, like, what are your colleagues doing? Or what are your clients doing? That you can use positive language to highlight that. My goal when I am speaking to somebody who is a potential private client is to lead them feeling hopeful, that it is possible to bring about change. And then every session I have, with whether that's an individual or a family after that, how do you feel hopeful at the end of it? How do you feel hopeful at the end of this? How do you feel hopeful at the end of this? And have action steps. But it's the positive language that lets them know change is possible. What is good? That's what we're going for, instead of what is bad across the board. Okay. Step 3, be clear and specific. So you may have heard me say before at the beginning of this, positive action-based strategies. That is my go-to. But you have to use action-based words so that we know what to do, right? The example that I gave for all of these used specific language and words. For yourself, write 3 things that went well that day. Clear and specific. Do this for 10 minutes a day. Pick a time and use it the same time every day. Helps it actually be accomplished. Clear and specific. If I said just do this for some amount of time at some point, you'd be like, how long? How long is enough? How enough is enough? Like what, like it brings up anxiety when we don't know exactly. For our kids, right? I gave the example of pulling your brother's hair. Instead of pull your brother's hair, give him the block. I use specific action-based words to provide the positive example. With your clients, I use specific examples of leadership, of missing a deadline versus accomplishing a deadline. When you are setting a deadline for a project, when you're setting a project, can you be clear and specific? When exactly are things due? What are your expectations? Because I'm going to fall short if I don't know what you expect. I can't read your mind. I don't know what exactly is necessary. So if you have a vision in your head, you need to tell me. If we're doing something together, I need you to communicate that with specific language so I can actually accomplish it. Oftentimes we're using positive language, but it feels really vague. Every school I've ever been to talks about being kind. I don't know what that means. I don't know what kind, I mean, I do, but specifically, what does it look like to be kind? And I've had kids, I see it all the time where someone says be kind and they go, I am being kind. They have a different definition of what kindness means because it's a vague word. I need you to say, please and thank you. I need you to ask in your regular voice, not a really loud one. I need you to wait once I tell you I'm getting something before you ask again. Watch what I'm doing and see if I'm getting it to help you. Those are specific things that demonstrate kindness. Teach them to recognize that and use that. We could also use that in the workspace. Action-based words allow that clarity to come through. And when we use action-based words, it usually is more often is positive because there's less interpretation, there's less judgment, there's less my perspective on what I think this means when I'm using action-based words. I'd like you to sit in this chair. Okay. Sit down now. Well, not there, over here. Right? Those type of directions feel big. I don't know where you want me to sit. Tell me. Tell me what you need from me. And I may be able to do it. Makes everybody much happier. Okay, step 4. Realistic small steps. Sometimes our words become really challenged because it is just too big, right? We set out this huge goal or this huge dream and we feel like we're never going to get there or we're not good enough to do it because we can't break it down into small steps that feel digestible and possible, right? Think back to the friend that I spoke about who is getting a new job and hopefully this new job that is a step up for her. It isn't a small enough step. It's a big step. This feels like a big step to her. So she's not being kind to herself. And when I sang her my little ditty to make it all better, I put in small steps so that it felt realistic to her. It felt possible. She's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And I can do that. And I can do that. You put it all together and it is this big picture that was overwhelming. But when we break it down, it was digestible. So when you want to bring in language that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like things are possible, we have to break it down into smaller steps rather than just the big picture. Right. Another example that is not family or work related necessarily was this weekend. I was having brunch with a friend who is looking for love. And she said, I'm trying to manifest a husband. I'm trying, and it's not working. I want to manifest my husband. And I said, it's too big of a step. If someone knocked on your door tomorrow or called you up, because she is not dating someone, called you up and said, I'm your husband, I'm here, let's go get married. Here's your wedding dress. Here's the date and the ring. You would run for the hills. You would be like, this is some kind of scam. You're trying to kidnap me and sell me to slavery. Like it just like, no, she would be freaked out as any of us would, because that's weird. That's not how it works. And I said, you need a smaller step. You need to talk about meeting someone that excites you and is available and can do what you are looking for in those first steps of a relationship. You need to talk about going on a date that gave you butterflies. You need to talk about finding someone that you can't stop thinking about because you're really excited to see them again and that you just want to kiss. Don't focus on the husband. because that's too big and overwhelming. There are steps before that that she needs to accomplish. Not every person she dates between now and when she gets married is going to be her husband. I mean, maybe the next person she dates will be, but more likely there's going to be a couple other people. And if you sit down on a first date judging whether I can marry you or not, you might scare away someone who could actually be that person. You might find a flaw too early on that you decide, nope, I'm out. We're not doing this. But if you weren't looking through that lens and you learn that a little bit later on, you're like, that's not actually a deal breaker for me. It's okay. So we need to take a smaller step. Because if every person she meets within the first 30 minutes, she's like, can I marry you? It's not a great way to date at all. But if she sits down and says, am I excited about talking to you? Do you give me butterflies? Is this interesting? Do I want to see you again? Then she's going to take many small steps to get to the big picture she wants. Make sense? The power of the small step and the language we use to reflect that. Okay. Step 5. Can you believe it? We're already at step 5. It's so exciting. Is that we have to celebrate every little step we take. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now you may not sing like me. As you can tell, I do that often. Break out in song simply because it brings me joy. That might not be your version of celebration. And I don't mean that you put on a ball gown and you go and drink champagne either. I mean taking a moment to allow yourself the joy of recognizing that you did something wonderful. All of the stories that I am sharing with you today, I took a moment to go, oh yeah, that was good. When I sang for my friend who was looking for a new job, after we got off the phone, I took a moment and went, it's a thing. I did a thing. I made her feel better and I had a lot of fun doing it. I took a moment to celebrate my success, that I used my words well and brought magic into her life in a moment she needed it. I take moments all the time and just go, oh yeah, that was good. Because if we don't stop and recognize the small ways that our language is impactful, we miss so much of the goodness that is in our life. Maybe because we're looking at all the hard things we're doing and the bad things we're doing and talking about those things rather than recognizing the good. Part of bringing in the magical language is recognizing how much magic, how much good, how much there is to celebrate every day in your life. Now, we may never have met before, and I might not know about your life, but I guarantee you there is some goodness there. Maybe it's just one person that you care about that cares about you. Maybe it's having a warm roof over your head. Maybe it's having warm, dry socks on your feet. There are so many small things in all of our lives that we forget to celebrate, that are huge privileges, that are wonderful, wonderful things that we don't celebrate and we don't look at and we don't talk about because we're so busy talking about all the hard things. We have to take time to celebrate the good that is in our life every single step of the way, every day. So yes, I know I gave this before as an example of the positivity, which is step 2, of writing 3 things or naming 3 things at the end of your day that worked well, because that does help you get positive. Can you celebrate those things? Yeah, I got through all my emails today. That doesn't often happen for me, but maybe it does for you. I recorded this webinar. That was a thing that happened today. That is a positive thing I can write down that I did. I can also celebrate that, which is a separate thing. And be like, oh yeah, I did it. Yeah. As you can guess, I sometimes like to have dance parties too. Again, that is what makes me happy. What makes you happy? Is it sharing it with a friend? Is it having a bite of ice cream? I don't want you to have a scoop of ice cream for everything you need to celebrate, because that might be a lot of ice cream, but maybe it's a bite. After you list all the things you did, you're like, yes, I'm going to celebrate with a bite of ice cream. Maybe it's going for a walk outside after a long work day and being like, yes, I get to celebrate with some fresh air. Maybe it's deciding you're not going to go outside after a long day and be like, yes, I'm going to celebrate by sitting on my couch. I don't know what celebration looks like for you. You get to decide that. For me, it's singing. It's a dance party. Sometimes it's quiet, like it's taking a bath, making myself a cup of tea and just sitting with that. Not on email, not multitasking, not anything else, just sitting with my tea for 5 minutes and breathing. Find your celebration. Might be with people. If you have a family and you're living with people, it might be with them. It might just be you. Maybe it's with your work team. Maybe it's not. You get to decide that, what's right for you, but you need to acknowledge your success with celebration. That's it. That's the whole plan. Those are the 5 steps. That's it, right? So let's go through them again, quick. Okay, this is the summary part. Oh, that means we have to go backwards. Okay, step 1, we have to pay attention to your words, just 10 minutes a day. 2, we have to use positive language. There's always a way to reframe to the positive. Maybe that's by writing 3 things a day that worked out. Step 3, you have to be clear and specific using action-based words, because that helps remove the judgment and opinions we may have that aren't so magical. 4, we need to make small steps so it can feel realistic and possible. And then 5, we got to celebrate. Now, here's the magic of it. You need to repeat this. We do it over and over and over and over and over again. You do this every day for just those 10 minutes. And you notice when it starts peeking out in other ways, in other spaces, when it starts to change your words overall. And you're like, hey, I feel pretty good. This is pretty exciting. Words are magic. Look at that. You have to repeat it over and over. It's not a one and done. Eating one salad doesn't make you healthy. Eating salad every day, along with a balanced diet and moving your body, that makes you healthy. You have to do multiple things every time. Same here. You just got to keep going. Will there be days when you are like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take my 10 minutes. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Yes. And on those days, you have 2 choices. You push through it and you do it anyway, even though you don't want to. I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna. And you sit, and you might find that at the end of those 10 minutes, you actually feel better. The other choice is if you don't want to, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't do it every day because some days I just don't want to. The magic, the importance, the power is when the day after that, you get back and you do it again. The day after that, you get up and you do it again. And then you do it again. So it's not that you have to do it every single day without fail. You have to do it more days than not. And if you really don't want to do it one day, don't do it, because then you'll become resentful and angry and you'll be cranky about this whole thing. And I don't want that. I don't want you cranky. I want you enjoying this. And so if skipping a day here and there actually makes it better, great. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't be upset about it. And maybe, just maybe, the next day, when you're like, what did I do that was good? You're like, I gave myself a break because I needed it. Amazing. And then celebrate it. Celebrate that. Okay. So I want to just offer 3 different types of language for you to think about how much you are using each of these. Right? A lot of what I'm talking about here and a lot of what brings in the magic is compliments. Compliments for yourself, compliments for your family, compliments for people you work with. That positive light. And like I even ask questions with compliments built in, like, tell me what's been amazing about your day. That assumes there's something amazing, because I'm going to assume that there is, because there always is. Whether we see it or not, there is always something amazing in our life. Those compliments matter. Comments, things that are just neutral. I'm just going to talk to you about what's going on. And sometimes that's very necessary. I think about that very much at work. There's sometimes we just got to go through the materials, right? I've been a student a lot of my life. That learning of stuff, those are just comments. That's just information. I think about that with families of like, what is the daily schedule? Sometimes you just got to talk about what needs to happen. Got to go through the logistics. Now, with both of those, is there a way to go through the logistics and add in a compliment? I know you're going to be amazing at this. I know this is going to be a really smooth morning. We're all going to get out on time. I know everyone's going to show up at the office and be ready to work right when we're starting the meeting. It's going to be great. You can combine them. But the one I want you to look out for is criticisms. We criticize a lot. Those are the no, don't stops. Those are the, why did you do it that way? Those are the judgments that come out. Those are not helpful when we do it to others or ourselves. So notice, because oftentimes there's a lot of criticism in our language. Just notice it. Sometimes noticing something changes it. As I said in the beginning, so much of our language is automatic. It's automatic. We just keep going. We get in habits of what words we use and don't use. Maybe you're just using words and not even realizing it. You may be criticizing more than you know. So just start paying attention and see in that 10-minute window, there's a lot of criticism coming out of your mouth. Do you want to change it? You get to decide that. Like maybe you don't want to change it and that's fine. Like that's your choice. But as long as you know that it's there, that's where the power is. Now, this is not necessarily just about words. This is kind of like my whole mantra in life. And because we're here and you've made it almost to the end, I just want to make sure you know that all behavior can change. It really can. Like all of it. It is possible to change anything you want to change. And words are just one piece of that. But you have to believe it's possible in order to actually make that change come through. If you don't think it's possible, you won't even try. And I'm here to tell you, it is all possible. It really is. So if there's something you want to change, if you want to bring in more magic into your life, bring in more goodness, bring in more joy, bring in more happiness, bring in more of a thing, you have to believe it is possible first. So know that it can change. Know that that thing can be yours, that you can accomplish amazing, wonderful, fantastic, grand things. Maybe not in the way you expected. Maybe it doesn't look like what you planned it to look like. But everything is possible and all behavior can change. With that, I want you to know that behavior change takes time. The longer you have a behavior, the longer it takes to change. So I don't want you to get discouraged, first and foremost, because I just told you that all behavior can change. And if in like next week, the thing hasn't changed, I don't want you to be like, Dr. Marcie, what's up with that? Because all behavior can change, but it takes time. I also want to put this in here so that you know, as we go in to this 10 minutes a day, it might not be that in 3 days you start seeing it seep out everywhere. Now, depending on where you are in the trajectory of positivity and action-based language in your words, depending on how many times you've had conversations with me or been in trainings of mine, maybe this is the first time you're hearing me talk about this. It may take longer to integrate than if you were one of my private clients, or if you've heard me speak 7 other times. So give yourself grace and kindness, be patient, because behavior change takes time. But if you take the time, it will change. It will become more automatic. It will become easier. And I say easier because I have been studying this for 25 years. It is my job, it is my career, and I still have to pay attention to it every day. I still have moments where I slip. So know that it's not about it being perfect. It's about progress. It's about being positive more often than not. It's about leaning into the goodness and forgiving yourself when you don't quite make the bar that you wanted to be making. Okay? It's all possible. So with that, I want to tell you that you are amazing. Now don't run yet because we have one more experience to do, but I wanted to let you know that I do not disappear at the end of this webinar. I want to remind you to go back to the email that you got this video in, because there's a worksheet if you want the breakdown of the 5 steps for yourself. Fill that in. It will help you put all of this in place. So that's 1. 2, if this was helpful, come join me on LinkedIn. Come subscribe to my YouTube channel because I share content like this all the time. There will be more webinars as well. So keep your eyes on my mailing list because that will be coming out to you for when and if you want more from me. I'm here for that. And 3, I also just wanted to say that this is what I do. I do trainings on language and de-escalation and conflict resolution and parenting and culture change. So if you are part of an organization or know of an organization or know of a conference that could benefit from some of my energy and this type of concept, please reach out to me. My website is drmarcie.com. There is a contact me page. There's also a speaker page with all of the information that you can share with me about the event if you know it. If not, I would just love the connection. Because what I find is that most of my work comes from people who know me. So now we know each other. So if you have a place that could benefit from my language and my training and the wisdom that I have amassed over the years of my career, I would love and be so grateful for that connection, because that is how and when I get in front of people. This is what I do. This is what I do all day, every day. So if there's a way that we can work together, please reach out and let me know, because I would be delighted to do that. Okay. So last and final piece of our training today. So excited. Will you do this last experiment with me? Like, you have to really do it. It's sort of like that one in the beginning with the 2 phrases that you have to say 10 times, except this is for 1 minute. But you can do this. So on the next slide is a sentence that I need you to stand up, and I need you to step with your feet nice and wide and your hands on your hips, nice and tall, or you can put them up to the sky. And we're going to say this sentence over and over and over again for 1 minute. For many of us, giving ourselves a compliment, talking about how amazing we are, right? In the last slide, I said, you are amazing. When was the last time you told yourself that you are amazing? When was the last time you gave yourself that type of compliment? So this is what we're going to do. We are going to say, I am amazing, over and over and over again for a minute. And I'm going to be the one on the recording doing it over and over and over again for you, but you need to stand up and do this as well. This is an exercise that I love. And if you do this every day, it will absolutely change your life, because words are magic. So are you with me? Nice and tall. Ready, set, go. I am amazing. I am amazing. I am amazing. You are amazing. I am amazing. I am amazing. I'm amazing. You're amazing. We're amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing, amazing, amazing. No, you don't have to dance as much as I am. It's just fun for me. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm amazing. You're amazing. We're amazing. Halfway through. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I am 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 amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. And one last time. I am amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.